Ready for something different? We're diving into Plato's Symposium, but
Yeah.
it's not your average philosophy lecture, okay? Think like ancient Greek dinner party.
Exactly.
But instead of like, who brought what dish, they're debating love.
Yeah. And not just, what is love, but the kind of love that makes heroes brave, right? The kind that makes artists create incredible things. And I think it's something we all crave on some level,
Yeah,
that deeper connection.
totally. And get this, we're going straight to the source, actual excerpts from the Symposium, translated from ancient Greek.
Just a real deal.
Oh, yeah, none of that SparkNote stuff. We're talking Socrates, playwrights, even this character Alcibiades. Bit of a wild card, that one.
You could say that again, but that's the beauty of this dialogue, right? We get these completely different perspectives on love. And they're all like bouncing off each other.
So first up is Phaedrus.
Yeah.
And he comes out strong, saying Eros, the god of love, isn't some little cherub with a bow and arrow. He's like the oldest, most powerful god there is.
Yeah. And his argument is basically that no one even knows who Eros' parents are. It's like love is this primal force, right? Even the gods are subject to it.
Okay, bold move, Phaedrus.
But he doesn't stop there. He goes on about how love is this like engine for virtue, noble deeds, uses Achilles and Patroclus as an example.
Right, because their love, their bond, made them fierce warriors. And it wasn't just, romance, although that was part of it. It was about inspiring each other to be better, to do things they wouldn't be able to do alone.
So we're thinking, okay, love equals ultimate good. Makes sense, right? But then Pausanias jumps in and says, hold on, not so fast. Turns out there isn't just one kind of love, but two.
Two Aphrodites, two Erotes, talk about double the trouble.
So what's the difference?
He calls them heavenly and common love. And they're pretty different, yeah. Like love on a mountaintop versus love in the, marketplace.
Not a bad way to put it. Heavenly Eros is about deep connection, intellectual growth, respect.
Lasting kind of love.
Yeah. And then common Eros, that's less about grand ideals and more about the here and now.
Yeah, let's say immediate gratification.
Yeah.
Pausanias actually criticizes people who only chase that fleeting kind of love. He's pushing for something deeper,
Yeah.
more substantial.
So love just got complicated. But then Eryximachus, the doctor, chimes in. And I love a good house call as much as anyone. But Eryximachus, he takes this to a whole other level.
He's all about connections, but not just between people. He sees love as this universal force. It's in how plants grow, how music works, even the cosmos.
He compares it to music specifically, how different notes, they seem opposite, but together they create something beautiful, right?
It's a really powerful analogy because he's saying these seemingly opposite forces, when they're combined in the right way, that's where the magic happens.
And get this. He thinks understanding both types of love, the heavenly and the common, that's vital for a healthy society.
It's about balance. Right. We've gone from love as this ultimate good to, cosmic balance and societal harmony. Plato knew how to throw a dinner party.
Ah.
But buckle up, because next up is where things get really wild. It's Aristophanes' turn. And he brought a myth.
Oh, this is a good one. It's about why we humans crave connection so intensely. But his version of early humans, it's a little out there.
Lay it on me. Did they have, 3 heads?
Try 2 heads and 4 arms, 4 legs. Basically picture a human being, but doubled. Round, powerful beings.
Wow. Okay, so what happened? Did they, trip and roll away?
They got a little too powerful, a little too arrogant, challenged the gods. And Zeus, being Zeus, he decided to teach them a lesson, split them in half.
Talk about a bad breakup. So that's how we ended up as men and women, always searching for our other half.
That's the myth. Ever since that primordial split, we're longing to reunite, to feel whole again. And that's what we experience as love, that desire to connect.
So true love, it's all about finding that missing piece, your soulmate.
You could say that. It's about belonging, completion, feeling whole. The question is, what does that actually mean?
Right, is it one perfect person? What if your other half got eaten by a lion in ancient Greece? So many questions.
That's a powerful image, though, right?
Yeah.
That soulmate, that idea of 2 halves becoming whole. But,
Yeah.
The Symposium keeps going. It's Agathon's turn next. And he's got a very different take on love.
Oh, yeah, Agathon, our resident playwright. Very into beauty, from what I remember.
Big time. His whole speech is like, this ode to Eros, eternally young, beautiful, all that.
But come on, we can't talk about Agathon without mentioning Socrates, right?
Yeah.
Socrates, who is not known for mincing words.
Not at all. He's got this way of, sniffing out a weak argument.
Yeah.
And with Agathon, oh, he goes in.
But it's never just a takedown with Socrates, is it? He has this way of guiding the conversation, asking these questions that make you think.
Totally. It's like he's leading you through a maze, but by the end, you're like, wait, how did I get here?
And then, just when you think he's about to deliver the knockout punch to Agathon's whole idea of love,
He throws a curveball.
he's like, hold up, I actually learned about love from this wise woman, Diotima.
Plot twist.
Okay, Diotima's ladder of love. I heard about this. What's the deal with the ladder? Like steps to finding the one?
It's more like levels of understanding what love is. It starts with appreciating physical beauty, sure, but that's just the first step, right?
You gotta climb higher. So it's about like
Mhm.
looking beyond just the surface.
Exactly. Each rung on the ladder, it's a deeper experience of beauty, art, knowledge, even the beauty of a well-functioning society.
Okay, and the top of the ladder, the ultimate goal, that's what? Beauty absolute.
This is where it gets really interesting, I think. Beauty absolute, it's like the source of all beauty, eternal, unchanging. It exists beyond the physical world.
Okay, I'm gonna need an example here because that sounds pretty abstract.
Think of the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. A sunset, a work of art, whatever does it for you. Now, multiply that by, like, infinity.
Okay, that's a lot of beauty.
And even then, that's just a glimpse of beauty absolute, according to Diotima.
Wow, okay. A lot of process. But remind me, where does Alcibiades fit into all of this? Last we left him, he was pretty enamored with Socrates.
Right. You can't forget Alcibiades, Plato's little troublemaker.
He definitely shakes things up. But, he's not just there for comic relief, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
He brings this really human element to the conversation because here he is, this guy known for indulging in, well, everything, but he recognizes something in Socrates, something different.
And it's clearly more than just like a fling.
Right. He's drawn to Socrates' wisdom, his self-control, those ideals of love that everyone's been talking about.
It's kind of like he sees Socrates as this, I don't know, mythical figure almost.
And Alcibiades, he's not afraid to be vulnerable either. He admits that Socrates is the only person who's ever made him feel like truly ashamed of his shortcoming.
Which is a big deal for someone like Alcibiades, right? So much confidence.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, what would have happened if Socrates had, given in to Alcibiades a little? Would Alcibiades have been able to reach that beauty absolute? Or was he too stuck in the...
In the earthly realm.
Exactly. It's that classic struggle, right? The head versus the heart. And unfortunately, our narrator, Aristodemus, he misses some of the juicy details because he falls asleep.
No, not Aristodemus. Did he have one too many glasses of wine?
Apparently, there was a lot of wine flowing that night.
Figures. So what happens? Do we ever find out what went down?
He does wake up eventually, thankfully, just in time to catch the tail end of this debate between Socrates, Aristophanes, and Agathon.
Of course. Leave it to Socrates to keep the party going, even if it's a philosophy party. What are they arguing about this time?
Well, picture this, right? Socrates, he's going strong. No wine for him, apparently, just pure brain power. And he manages to convince both Aristophanes and Agathon that comedy and tragedy, they're actually two sides of the same coin.
Whoa, hold on. He's saying laughter and tears, those are connected somehow.
It's Plato, right? Always pushing us to look beyond the obvious. There's a deeper truth there in that interplay of emotions. And then, as the sun's coming up, the symposium ends. Just like that.
And everyone's left to, contemplate all that heavy stuff.
It's a lot to take in, but even just thinking about the key takeaways from each speaker, it makes you realize these are questions we're still grappling with today.
Totally. Thousands of years later, and we're still trying to figure out this whole love thing. I mean, there's so many ways to think about love now, right?
Yeah.
It's not just one thing. It's this grand, powerful force, but it's also these two different types, heavenly and common.
And then there's Eryximachus with love in the trees, love in the stars.
Love everywhere.
It's a lot, but I think that's part of the point, right? Love can't be contained. It's bigger than just finding your person or feeling good.
Totally. And you know what really stayed with me? Diotima's ladder. That whole idea of, it's so easy to get stuck in this, surface level of experience,
Absolutely. And she's not just saying, go look at pretty things, that's love. It's deeper than that.
Right. It's not just about experiencing beauty, but creating it, right?
Exactly. Remember that phrase, birth in beauty. It's about bringing something new into the world, something good, something that makes life a little more beautiful.
Okay, so I can't just, hang up a Van Gogh poster and call it a day.
Maybe not. Think about it like this. What are you passionate about? What kind of beauty do you want to create? That's where it starts.
Okay, that's a pretty big question.
It's a lifelong journey, and I think that's what Plato's getting at. It's a challenge, right? To live a life that's like, worthy of the love we're seeking.
And he's not letting us off easy either. I mean, think about Alcibiades, drawn to Socrates' virtue, but also, like, struggling with his own stuff.
Yeah, he's got a lot of baggage. And Plato doesn't shy away from that. He's saying, look, if you want to experience this higher love, it takes work
Self-awareness, honesty.
and the willingness to confront those parts of ourselves we might not like.
That's where it gets real. It's
Okay.
easy to talk about beauty absolute, but to actually, like, live it out, that's the challenge.
And I think that's the beauty of the symposium, honestly. It gives us these like big, grand ideas about love, but it also brings it back down to earth. It's like, okay, how do we actually put this into practice in our messy, complicated lives?
So where do we even begin? If someone's listening to this and they're like, all right, I'm ready for some of that beauty absolute,
Yeah.
what's the first step?
Pay attention to the beauty that's already around you, sure, but also what's calling to you? What inspires you? What kind of love are you searching for? And how can you start creating that? Not just waiting for it to show up, but actively building it.
Being present, being curious.
And maybe even a little rebellious. Embrace a little chaos now and then. Sometimes you need that to shake things up, see things in a new light.
A little bit of Alcibiades and all this. Well, there you have it. From those grand philosophical ideas to, like, the messier side of love. We covered a lot of ground with the symposium.
And the best part is these aren't just ancient ideas, they still matter. Thousands of years later, we're still asking the same questions about love, beauty, what it means to be human.
So next time you're at a dinner party, keep Plato in mind, right?
Yeah.
You never know what kind of deep conversation might come out of it.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep loving bravely.